Okay, so today's Wednesday, November 27th. It's pretty early. It's only 10 a.m. right now, but because of the holiday, I'm pretty much done for the week here on the plane. So what I've managed to do in the couple short days is I finished the right gas tank or fuel tank. It's quite the process, like I said before, but I think it all went together. I haven't pressure tested it or tested it for leaks yet. I'll save that till after the holidays, so if it doesn't go well, I don't have to be thinking about it the whole time with family. So yeah, it goes together pretty easily. One thing that's kind of unfortunate, or maybe not, is after you Cleco the gas tank together, the Clecos are gonna get the Pro Seal, the super goop all over them. I soaked them all in a can of acetone for overnight, and the Pro Seal actually kind of hardens anyway, even though it's soaking in the acetone. I was hoping that what would happen would be it would kind of, slowly degrade it all and make them all wipe off really easily. That's not the case. So I would recommend cleaning the Clecos right after you use them with the Pro Seal. The whole process isn't fun either way you go about it. So I've got the top wing skin almost completely riveted. I wish I had more time this week, otherwise it'd be pretty satisfying to have the whole thing finished up. Got a bunch of parts in from Airplane Factory earlier this week that I've been waiting on, so next week when I get started back up again, I think hopefully I'll be really moving through it. A couple things that I've noticed is the flap kind of contacts the wing skin here. So I'm gonna ask Airplane Factory what to do. I imagine they're gonna say to just bend up slightly the trailing edge of the wing itself so that the flap has some space to get in there. But I don't wanna do it until I've gotten confirmation on that being the right way to go. It's just gonna be a quick update because I have not yet really gotten a whole lot done. A couple quick things though. One thing that is pretty serious is this long channel piece here is the back side of the fuel tank, and they come, well, at least mine came dimpled from the factory, but they dimpled it with the plastic still on. So when I peeled off the plastic, let's see if I can get it to happen. Yeah, you see right here, there's a little plastic ring. And in some spots, that ring stays on really tightly to that dimple. And if you don't notice it, then you might end up leaving little rings of plastic in your fuel tank. So when you peel the plastic off, it's really important to pay close attention. It's really easy to miss. I've got pretty good eyesight, and I kind of almost missed it until I noticed it, and then you can go back and thoroughly inspect it all. But I would consider that to be a fairly important thing to pay attention to. Another tip is I've been using, for some hard to reach or kind of tight edges of the places that need to be dimpled, what I actually do is I take the dimple die off of the dimpling machine, and I put it into place, and then I just clamp it down with some channel locks. This way I didn't really need to purchase any separate tool just for these one-off dimple locations. I got these dies from Aircraft Spruce. Whoops. I got these dies from Aircraft Spruce, and basically it's got the dent there and the dimple on this one. And what you do is you place that through the hole that you want to dimple, and you pull the nail with a standard rivet gun. They don't work, don't buy them. Total waste of money, not worth your time. Much better to just use the channel locks, or if you don't mind purchasing an extra tool for just a couple times, they sell them that are already mounted to vice grips. I'm having no problem at all just clamping it down real quick with the channel locks. So I'd recommend that as a good option. Another thing that's kind of weird is this is the locking valve for the parking brake, and the elbows. So you need a 1/8 28 BSP die to rethread the threaded end on the elbows. It doesn't say that anywhere. They will not thread together before you've rethreaded the elbows. And so, yeah, I wish it would have just come with that. But anyway, now that I know, hopefully I can save somebody else the headache that I went through. All right. And finally, what exactly am I building? I'm building a Sling TSi. The reason I chose it was, part of this long list here. If you're interested, you can pause the video and read through the stuff yourself, but I'll kind of talk through it. It's a 4-place airplane. The only real competitor as far as price, size, performance, and everything on the market is an Our V10 made by Vans. Sling TSi is made by the Airplane Factory. It's a company out of South Africa. They're not a new company. They've been making 2-seat and 4-seat airplanes for almost 20 years now. But they're very new compared to Vans. So for the purpose of this video, I'll just talk about the comparison between the TSi and the Our V10, because that's really, for me, the only two options that I was debating between. They're the similar size airplane, same useful load of 1,000 pounds. Both of them are 4-place. They serve a similar mission. Basically, they're cross-country A to B planes. They're not aerobatic. They're fun to fly. They have similar cabin space. The Our V10, I think, is 4 inches extra width, and they cost about the same to build. That's essentially the entire similarities between them all. And the TSi has 155 knot true airspeed. Cruise is 180 miles an hour. And it does it on a 140 horsepower, 135 horsepower engine with turbo that can get it up to 140 or maybe 141 horsepower. The Our V10's a little faster. It can cruise at about 200 miles an hour on 260 horsepower. The stall speed's a lot slower with the TSi. Kind of the Our V10, I've never flown one, but I've heard it's a little faster, a little bit more slippery airplane. Similar ranges. The TSi is slightly less, but you can get an extended range fuel kit for the TSi. You might be able to do it for the 10 as well, I'm not sure, but I'm just showing the standard numbers here. The fuel burn is considerably better on the TSi. At 155 knots, you're burning only 7 to 8 gallons per hour. The Our V10, all the numbers for the 10 are kind of all over the place looking online, so I did the best I could to get reasonable numbers. I'm sure some people out there are getting better or worse numbers, but for the purpose of this video, this is what I've got. Burns a little bit more fuel, can go a little faster though. I would imagine if you dial the Our V10 back to the 155 cruise speed of the TSi, you probably burn similar fuel. The 10 is, it runs on a 260 horsepower Lycoming IO 540. And the reason that the performance characteristics are fairly similar is because the 10 has a basic empty weight of 1,500 pounds, which is a full 500 pounds more than the TSi. It does climb a little better than the TSi, 1,000 versus 1,400. I have not confirmed either of these numbers. I imagine that an unloaded TSi could probably climb 1,400 feet per minute as well. One major distinction between the two as far as being the builder is that the TSi uses pop rivets and it only takes 1,400 hours to build versus the bucking rivets and 2,000 hour build time from the RV10. The Brs Parachute is a really cool feature. The TSi is built around including the Brs ballistic parachute. I think you can get it in the RV10, but it's not part of the standard design. The main difference, I'd say, is the weight of the TSi, allowing it to have that Rotax 915 engine. It's a FADEC engine, which full authority digital electronic control, meaning that the computer's controlling everything about the engine. I like it. It's modern. It's been in cars for 20 or 30 years now, and it's a developed technology, so it's not too wild and dangerous. It allows you to run the plane with no mixture lever, and the prop is controlled just by a knob that basically you choose between climb, cruise, and different prop settings like that, versus the lever system for the RV10 works with the standard throttle, mixture, and prop levers. The TSi is turbo normalized, so that turbo can actually negate the effect of altitude. So at altitude, say a high elevation airport or just wanting to cruise a little higher, does not affect the performance of the plane. Whereas the RV10, the higher you go, a little bit less performance you might get, and higher altitude airports, you will lose a little bit of performance for takeoff. So that's a pretty cool thing with the TSi that I really liked. And another really cool thing that I like is that it can run on 91 octane car gas or the standard 100 low lead aviation fuel. This allows a couple of things. One is sometimes 91 octane could be cheaper than 100 low lead, although here in San Diego I think they're fairly comparable in price. But not having the lead in the gas actually keeps the spark plugs cleaner for a little bit longer, so it's a little bit less maintenance there and less risk of plug fouling and things like that. Some downsides to the TSi are it's still pretty new, and so there's not really any aftermarket options available for it, whereas the RV10 has tons. You can get whatever little center consoles, whatever different interior options, any kind of different stuff, whatever you can think of probably already exists. The build manuals for the RV10, from what I've heard, are considerably better. It's a lot older plane. I think it's been around for 10 years, so they've had plenty of time to refine it, but that's not to say that the TSi's manuals are bad. They're just not as complete. RV10, Vans has the largest build community out there, and so a lot of us TSi builders are going out and looking at the RV10 build forums to get some information on kind of more generic airplane building things like prime, not prime, and all of this, although it's not entirely relevant as the planes are made out of a slightly different aluminum. And I think that's about it, other than I personally think the TSi is a lot of a prettier airplane than the RV10. That 3-blade prop just looks cooler. The nose kind of coming more of a point. The lines are a little cleaner, but obviously performance-wise, doesn't seem to affect it too much. So that's just personal opinion. But other than that, I'd say the TSi's main strengths are in the pop rivets, the FADEC 915 engine, and that's why I chose to go for it. Also the parachute. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and until next week.